Hey everyone, welcome back. My name is Bethany if you're brand new. We are on week 4 of our summer challenge. This challenge, if you're brand new, is just to help you get to know your Cricut machine. In this challenge, I'm going to be using my Cricut Explore 3. It's a little bit more of the middle of the road Cricut, so I thought it would be fun to choose that one and do this whole challenge with it. I do also have the Cricut Joy and the Cricut Maker, so if you want to learn a little bit more about those projects, go ahead and check out my playlist for those machines, and you'll get to know those machines as well. But week 4 is here. We are going to be doing Cricut pens. This is a really popular topic on my channel. Everybody loves Cricut pens, but everybody's slightly intimidated by Cricut pens, or they don't really know what to do with them. I will be placing links to other really popular videos that I've done with Cricut pens down in the description box below, in case you want to check out other videos with how to use these pens and to get some more inspiration. So in this video today, we are challenging ourselves to take the caps off of our Cricut pens and get inspired with how to use them. Go ahead and give this video a thumbs up if you are ready to begin week 4. I am really excited to show you today's project, and I can't wait to see what you are creating this week for your challenge. So be sure to share with me on Instagram. You can use the hashtag Bethadilly to share your projects, and it'll also connect you to just a fun community of crafters who are also taking on this fun challenge this summer. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Don't forget to check out all of the things in the description box below the video. That's where I'm going to share everything that I'm using in this video. All right, everyone, let's get going. Okay, so let's go ahead and just have some fun with Cricut pens. Now, what I thought we would do for this particular project today is create a little piece of decor, but I have some videos all about Cricut pens. I have so many, and they're quite popular on my channel, so I will list all of those in the description box below in case you want to have some further inspiration on how to use these fun pens. I also have a video all about how to use them with the Cricut Joy as well. So if you want to make a card, if you want to address an envelope, I have videos on that, or if you just want a really fun video on how to do lots of colors, I have one on that, but we'll also be doing a very colorful design in this video too. So I wanted to do something colorful, not only because colorful is just so fun, but because it will show you how to swap out the pens and how to get everything set up in Design Space. So I am going to use this really cute wooden sign from the Dollar Tree. Ignore that it says happily ever after. We are going to do a complete DIY, and we're going to add some really fun decor to the inside using some pens. So what I'm going to do is set this to the side. I am going to do all of my writing on a really nice piece of cardstock. I think I'll use 110-pound cardstock, so I'm going to have that ready. But before, I want to make sure I know the dimensions of my frame so I can, well, you know, I think I'll just measure the opening here. That way I can center my design within the opening. Okay, let me grab my measuring tape, which is completely hiding from me, so I will just use my ruler here, and it looks like I have roughly about 4.5 inches, and I'm assuming that is a square. Yes, so it's a little bit more than 4.5 inches, but I'm going to do 4.5 inches. That's close enough for this project. Okay, let's go into Design Space, and now that you have an idea of where we're going to go with this and a visual of our project, let's get the inside design all designed so that we can cut them out with the pens, and then we'll also explore how to find writing fonts and how to find writing designs. So here are the Cricut pens that we're going to use. Again, I'm using my Explore 3. So I have my pens all in this little caddy here, and I'll link this caddy down below. It's really nice. And what I'm going to do is just get an idea for what pens that I want to use for this design. So I'm just grabbing a piece of cardstock here, and I'm just going to test out my pens. That way I get an idea of what the colors look like, because sometimes some of them are kind of light, and I don't want something too light. So that, even though I love that, that one is super light. So I want it to have a little bit more contrast, even though that's super pretty. Okay, so I do like this pink. I know I'm going to need a green. I'm going to test out, I think this one's just green. Ooh, that's pretty. I also will test out, is this the same color? Yeah, okay, so we'll do these two, though let me test to make sure I don't want, oh, that's pretty. Okay, I'm gonna swap that out. And I will absolutely tell you my final color combination once I decide here. But in the meantime, let me just test these out. Okay, we're gonna swap that out. So maybe a yellow, that looks awesome. And you know, I think that will be good. I'm gonna use these 4 colors. So the colors I chose are Sage for the green, Pink Crystal for the pink, Jade for this turquoise color, and then Candy Corn for the yellow. So you will be able to see the colors right on the side. And these are the 0.4 tip, and I'll link the pens that I'm using down below. Okay, so we are going to use 4 pens today. We are all set on that end. Now let's go into Design Space and get everything designed out. Okay, here I am in Cricut Design Space, and the first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to come to Shapes. It's the 4th button down on the left. I'm going to click on that and select a square because I want my Cricut to cut out my cardstock for me. So I am going to size this. Remember when I did my measurement, I have it sized at 4.5 by 4.5. Now I am going to come back and actually make this just a tad bigger in the end because I want my cardstock to be bigger so that it is larger than the opening of my frame. Hopefully that makes sense. But for now, I want to design the area that I'm going to see within the frame. Okay, so again, I did that measurement from the front of my frame. So that way I knew exactly how much paper I was going to see. That just helps me with sizing. Okay, so just so that we can see this really well, I'm going to make this white because we're going to do stuff that's really colorful on here. And I'm going to come down and just make this bigger. That way we can really see what we're doing. Okay, so let's talk about images. So what we want to do is we want to focus on images that are draw only. So let's go ahead and explore some images. I'm going to come over to the button that says images, click that. It's the 5th button down on the left. And what I'm going to do here is I am going to go to operation type. I'm going to click this little plus sign to open it up, and I want to filter for draw only files. This is going to show me all of the files that I can use with the pens because these are compatible with the pens. Okay, so now I'm only looking at drawn files. I'm also going to come up here and filter for free because I do not have Cricut access, so I don't want to have to pay for anything. Okay, not sure why this is in there when I've already filtered for free, but everything else looks to be free. So what I want to do is I am going to use this image right here, and I'm going to edit it down so I can do something a little bit different, but I'm really attracted to this little wreath that surrounds this little opening here. So I'm going to go ahead and click on it, and I am going to say add to canvas. Okay, so that is how you will find images that work with the pens. Okay, now what I want to do is, as cute as this design is, I want to edit this so that it doesn't have any of the wording and so that it also doesn't have these lines. So I'm going to go over to my layers panel, and some of these are really easy to delete. So the date is right here. I can just hide that. And once I click the little eye icon, it disappears. Let's see, just married, I'm going to delete that. Mr. and Mrs. Smith, I'm going to delete or hide. And then the heart. Okay, now you can see that when I select this leaf border, it includes the little line. Okay, so I need to find a way to remove that line because I just want the border. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my layers panel. I'm going to select that layer. Then I'm going to come all the way down. Hopefully you can see this down here. And I'm going to select contour. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I am going to select the line within this image. And once I select it, it will delete it from my little image that I have here. So I'm teaching you a variety of things today, but I think it's important to also realize that you can see images and you can edit them. Okay, I'm going to select that, and as you can see, it completely erases that. So now I'm gonna go ahead and exit out. I'm going to check my file and you can see that that line is no longer there. And I'm going to repeat that step with the bottom half of this. So I'm going to go down to that bottom leaf border right here. I select it and you can see that it's selected over here. I'll go down to contour, select that. And you can either select it, like just click on the line. Sometimes it's tricky to do for some reason, but another way you can do that is of course find it in here. So I'm going to select it. And then you can see in real time off to the side that it removes it. Then I can just click out and now you can see that I have my edited image and I just have that little leaf border. So now I'm going to bring this onto my design and I am going to size that down just a little bit. Okay, I'm also going to unlock this and I'm just going to increase the width. That way it takes the shape of that square look just a little bit more, okay? It was a little bit on the rectangular side, just a smidge, but I like that much better. So I can go ahead and lock that back up. And there is my little wreath design. So now what I would like to do is add some text. So let's talk about text. Another thing I want to mention is if you click on this image, you can verify that this will be with a pen, because if you come up here and see operation, you'll see that it says pen. Okay, so I'm going to come over to the text box. It looks to be the 6th button down on the left. I'm going to select that, and then you'll see my little text box appear. So as you can see, if I come up to operation, it's saying this is a basic cut. That is not what we want, because that means that the Cricut will cut this out and not write this out. We want this to be written or drawn with the pen. If I were to come up and select pen, you'll see that it will just draw the outline of it, okay? And that's not really what I want for this. So what I'm going to do, although that would be kind of cute, oh gosh, that might be kind of what I want to do. Usually I want to do something a little different, but I think maybe for this design that could be kind of cute. But let's go ahead and move this to the side for a second. I'm gonna grab another text box and I'm gonna show you how to find some writing font. Okay, I'm kind of changing my mind here because sometimes you get inspired in new ways. So I'm gonna come up to the font box right here. I'm gonna click that, and then I'm going to come over, just like I did with the images, I'm gonna go to the filter, and then I am going to filter for writing. And then I'm also going to filter for free. Okay, so now what I'm going to see is only a list. It says there's 21 fonts. I'm only going to see a list of fonts that I can use that work with the Cricut pens and that are free. So I'm just going to scroll through and see what I like. And I think I'm going to use this Telegram text. So I'll go ahead and select that. Okay. And then you can see that I have a new text here. You can also see that the operation has changed to pen and it's the writing style. So that is verifying that the font that I'm using is going to work with the pens and it's going to draw this out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is just select my little text box and I am going to type out B, and then I'm going to do my return key just to do the next line, and I'm going to say kind, period. Okay, so now what I want to do is I'm going to bring my design within my little frame here, or wreath. And what I want to do is I am going to come up to advanced. I'm going to teach you a bunch of tricks today. I'm going to come up to advanced. It's right here. And I'm going to say ungroup to lines. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select this bottom one, and I'm going to use the top arrow on my keyboard. That way I don't accidentally shift it to the left or right. I just want to bring those lines together a little bit. I didn't like the gap. And I'm going to click off just to verify. I like that much better. Okay, I'm going to delete this. If you wanted more of kind of a bubbly, boxy look, then you could do that. But that's also an example of if you're trying to use a font that is just for cutting, if you are trying to convert that to the pens, this is what you're going to see. Okay, deleting that. And now we're left with our design here. So before I do anything else, I'm going to select, let's see, what do I want to do here? I'm going to select the B, and with Command held down on my keyboard, I'm going to select kind. That way I can do both of them. And I'm just going to center that visually. Okay, that looks good to me. Okay, I like that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select everything. Okay, this is going to select my paper. Remember, that's going to cut out. It's going to select my little wreath that will be drawn and my words that are going to be drawn. What I want to do now with everything selected is I want to come up to a line and I'm going to say center horizontally. Okay, so that makes sure that that's all centered. Okay, now I'm going to start color coding my design. And this gets really fun. So now we're going to tell the Cricut what color to draw out each of the little features on this design. So I'm going to go ahead and select my border first, or my wreath, and I'm going to come up to Operation Pen. But to the right, you'll see a little color box. I'm going to select that, and then you'll see that you can select the pen that you're going to be using. Again, mine's that fine point, which is the 0.4 millimeter. But here are the other pens that are in your little options that you can do. I'm going to click out of that because I have the one I want. Now I'm going to, let's see, I think it was Sage. And if you wanted just to select any green, you can. I'm going to select the exact ones that I use, but if you wanted just to select a random green and know that you're going to put the color that you want into the machine, that's absolutely fine. Okay, so Sage, there we go. And then what I want to do is I'm going to make all of my little letters a different color. So how I do that is I'm going to select my letters. I am going to come up to this layers panel here, and I'm going to say ungroup. This is going to allow them to now stand alone. First, they were an entire word together, but when I ungroup them, now you'll see that they are individual of one another. And that way we can actually say that each one is a different color. If you kept it like this, just one layer, once you change the color, it's going to change the entire word. But if you separate them out by ungrouping them, then you can click on each individual letter and change the color of just that letter only. Okay, so I'll do the same thing for kind. I'm going to select it in my layers panel and click ungroup. Okay, now what I like to do is I like to use my layers panel here, because sometimes if you accidentally click and drag, you can misalign your image. So I just like to leave the image alone here. Of course, you could just select these, but sometimes I feel like I accidentally move something and I don't want to do that. So I just like to leave this B and do all of my work over here. So I'm just going to find the B. I'm going to start there, the letter B, not the word. And I'm going to come up to the little color box right next to pen. And this is where I'm going to have fun creating the colors that I'm going to use and making this all colorful. So I had those colors picked out. I think I'm going to start with that pink crystal. Okay, I'm going to go out and select the little E, come back, and I think that will be candy corn. Okay, that's cute. And then I think I will do the K in candy corn. The I, the teal I had was, I think it was jade. Yes, so I'm going to do jade. The N I will do in pink crystal. And then the D I will do in the jade. Now I'm going to actually change my mind here because I don't like that it's the teal pink teal here. I don't like that. So what I'll do is I will just switch these around. So I'll come up here and make this jade. Okay. And then with my I will do candy corn. Okay, I visually like that better. And then with my tiny little dot, I will make that candy corn. Okay. There we go. All right, everything is ready. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the size of the paper that cuts out, because if I cut it at 4.5 by 4.5, that's just the size of my opening. And I want it to be bigger than my opening because then I'll be able to fit it within that frame. Okay, so what I'll do is I'm going to change this to 5 by 5, and that will allow the paper to cut out just a tad bigger. Okay, so I change that to 5 by 5. And then again, what I'll do is I will try to center this again. But before I do that, what I want to do is I want to attach all of these, because if I try to center them, everything's individual of one another. So all of the letters, well, I'll show you, they would just center on top of each other. So if I went up to a line and I said center horizontally, then all the letters would center themselves. Okay, so I'm going to click back. That's just this backwards arrow here. And I'm going to select everything, come down to the bottom, and this paper clip will attach. Okay, now when I bring that back over here, theoretically, if I select everything, I can align and say center. There we go. Okay, we are set. Now what I want to do is I want to select this entire project, my cut paper and my drawn design, and I want to attach that all together. That way my Cricut knows that I want the paper cut, but I also want the design to be drawn out exactly like I see it on the screen here. So I want to attach this together so that my Cricut knows that I want everything to be placed where I have it centered on my little paper. So I'll attach that like that, and we should be all set to go. Okay, so I have my Explorer 3 ready to go. If you have a different machine that you're using, this is where you will make that election here, and I'm going to say make it. So now you'll see our project on the next screen on a little cutting mat preview, and you see that we have a little paper cut here, and then we have our drawn image right in the middle, and it's all centered, so we did a good job with all of our attaching. All right, now I can click continue, and now it's going to locate my Cricut machine via Bluetooth, and now I can make all of my elections here for my materials. So it says over here, it says all of the tasks that's going to happen with the Cricut. So it knows that we're going to be using the pen, and it knows there's going to be a cut. So here we need to make the election for how we want it cut out. So I'm going to be using a cardstock, and mine's a 110 pound. So I'm going to do heavy cardstock, but I'm going to do more pressure just to make sure, since that is a little bit thinner than the cardstock that I'm going to use. Now in the second little panel here, we are going to talk about the pens. So it's going to show us that we need to load Sage. It tells us right here. We're going to load Sage in clamp A. We're going to have our blade in clamp B. And then coming up, it says we will do pink crystal, candy corn, and then jade. Okay, so we're starting with Sage. Then after Sage is done drawing out, the Cricut will prompt you with the next color to load. It's going to pause, and it's going to allow you to take the Sage out and put the pink crystal color in. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to load my mat with my paper, and then we're going to just watch this draw out. It is so fun to watch the pens. You're going to love this. Okay, so ideally when you are doing paper, you would want to use your blue light grip mat, but I'm going to be using my standard grip mat because I don't have a blue one on hand anymore. So what I'm going to do is I'll just be really careful. I'll show you how to load your paper and also take it off the mat without ripping or curling it. So I'm going to take a piece of 110 pound cardstock, and I am just going to lay that right on my mat. Okay, just like that. And now I will open up my Cricut, and because those flashing arrows are flashing, that means it's already ready to start loading. So I'll go ahead and press the little button to load. Okay. Now I have my pens set to the side here. We are going to do the Sage first. So we already have our fine point blade in clamp B. We are going to open up the clamp A, take the cap off, and then I like to just place it right on top. That way I don't lose it, doesn't roll around and get lost. And then what I'm going to do is, see this arrow here? You are going to place it that side down, so pen side down into the machine, and you just push it down until you hear it click. Just like that. Now I pushed that down a little bit too much and accidentally got it on my paper. So what I'm gonna do is unload. See how I did a little dot there? Okay, no problem. I'm just going to turn it this way and realign. We're good to go. Okay, so don't press too hard or it's gonna get on your paper. Okay, reload. There we go. And then it's just going to do all of the measurements, make sure we have our mat that we said we have in there. It's checking the size of the mat. Okay. And now we're ready to go. Okay, pen is in clamp A. The correct color is in clamp A as well. And then we have our blade in clamp B. Okay, so we can click the flashing play button. And here we go. Okay, it is done with our first color. And now on my Cricut screen in Design Space, it's saying to load my next color, which is the jade. So I'm going to remove this, just pull it out, put the cap back on, put it right back in here. And then I'm going to load jade very carefully so I don't get it on. I'm gonna actually put my finger between my paper down here and the pen. That way, if I get it down there, it's just gonna get on my finger. Okay. Okay, there we go. And I moved my finger just in time because I think that actually didn't have much room for my finger there. Okay, so now that is ready to go and we can press the play button once more. Okay, there is a better view at it. So we're gonna press play, which means go. And then it's going to start on the next color. And it's a little hard to see because it's going right over it, but you'll get the idea. Okay, so now it is doing all of the jade color, all the letters that we elected in Design Space to be that color. I'm gonna open up clamp A, remove my pen, put my cap back on, and now it wants candy corn. I'll go ahead, place that in there until I hear the click, and close clamp A. Okay, and then press play. Okay, and finally, we have our final color. And Design Space is just going to tell you which color to load. So you just keep an eye on your screen and it will let you know what's next. It will not let you mess up. It really won't. Just keep an eye on what it's telling you to do. Okay, pink crystal is our last color. Go and play. Okay, now what it's doing is it is automatically switching to the blade and cutting out the square. Okay, and it's going to go over it 2 times just because we wanted a little bit of a deeper cut there. Okay, so it should be all done now. Okay, yes. So before anything, I'm going to take my pen out because if I don't, I'll get too excited about finishing my project, and tomorrow when I come to use my Cricut, I'll see my pen in there and it would be all dried out. So now we're going to go ahead and just unload our Cricut. Okay. And there is our fun design. Isn't that neat? It's so fun, and you can personalize and do anything that you'd like. Okay, so let's go ahead and turn the mat over, and I'm gonna bend my mat away from my paper. That way my paper doesn't curl or roll up or anything like that. Okay, never peel your paper away from your mat because it just it'll get it all ruined. Okay, so there is my final little project. So you can see how it would be so fun to make cards and other fun things. It would be really fun to personalize these. It's just a really fun little feature using the pens with your Cricut. Okay, now I'm going to bring in my little frame. Here we go. I'm going to open up the back. There we are. And I'm going to simply slip my new design right in there and replace it right inside. Okay. Close those little tabs down. And there we go. How cute is that? Isn't that fun? I love, love, love how that turned out. All right, everybody, I hope you are inspired to take those caps off those pens and have some fun drawing some designs out with your Cricut machine. This is such a fun little feature to know how to do with your Cricut. And be sure, if you are wanting to share your projects with others in the community and with me, be sure to use that hashtag Bethadilly Inspired on Instagram. That way you can share your projects that you are creating throughout this challenge. So good luck. I hope you have fun creating with your pens. Again, I'll place links to videos for additional inspiration on how you can use the pens with your machine. That way you can continue learning about the pens before you decide on what project you would like to do. I hope you enjoyed this. Please give this a thumbs up if you did. And I will see you next week for week 5. Next week, we will be doing infusible ink, which is so fun. I haven't done it in quite a while, but I love it so much. So we're going to have fun doing something really summery with infusible ink. All right, everyone, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.